Right. Let's welcome in now founder and president of the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Cliff May. Cliff, what is your impression of what's going on, the exchanges today between President Zelensky and President Trump, as well as all of, the events that happened in Saudi Arabia, the negotiations between Russia and the U.S., and what Keith Kellogg is now doing, showing up in Ukraine and wanting to be on the front lines? What are we to make of all of this?
Well, it's pretty confusing, I would have to say. Look, I do think I've written a column on this for today's Washington Times, that there is a path forward that can achieve the goals that President Trump has said and that his advisors have said they want to achieve. That would include a cessation of hostilities, not peace and concord, a cessation of hostilities. That would be very important. And then there could be security guarantees, bolstering Ukraine's independence, its sovereignty, in its freedom going forward, and then a better economic relationship looking forward also for the U.S. and Ukraine. President Trump has said he's very interested in the fact that Ukraine has huge resources of rare earth minerals. This is an untapped natural resource, could pay for a lot of American weapons, could be very useful. That would be a very good thing. It's a bargain if that means that Ukraine stays safe. But meanwhile, it's a difficult situation. I'm disappointed with some of the things I've heard President Trump say, which are just inaccurate information. Ukraine was invaded on February 24th, 3 years ago, next Monday, by tanks and troops from Russia, and this was unprovoked, this attack. And the goal was to take Ukraine over and to make it part of Putin's empire. That's simply factually true.
Yeah, I think one of the things Zelensky was objecting to when he said that the president was operating in Russian disinformation, I may be misquoting, but the gist of it is Mr. Trump saying that Zelensky only 4% popularity, when others say, no, it's over 60%, certainly over 50%. I don't think you could argue with the fact that some people would look at this, that Zelensky is on the short end of this negotiation. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Get your opinion.
I think that's the way it is looking right now. Now, that can change, obviously. President Trump can be mercurial. So far, he seems to be more interested in revising relations with President Putin, who is, frankly, over 20 years now, the dictator of his country. Then he seems, and does not seem to be terribly well disposed to President Zelensky. That's not always been the case. In the past, he has been better disposed to President Zelensky, who is an elected leader. But you're right. I can see why President Zelensky is probably feeling somewhat worried and discouraged about how this is going forward. He wasn't invited to the negotiations between Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, Mike Waltz, National Security Advisor, and their counterpart from Russia that took place in Saudi Arabia. There will be other negotiations going on, but certainly Zelensky is right to say nothing about Ukraine without Ukraine. We're not surrendering to Vladimir Putin. That's for sure.
Well, Cliff, isn't some movement forward, even sitting down with the Russians, progress? President Biden, it was for as long as it takes. Well, for as long as it takes didn't help Ukraine win this war, and Ukraine can't win this war alone.
Yeah, here's the thing. President Biden gave weapons reluctantly, slowly, drips and drabs to Ukraine. It helped them not lose, but it didn't give them enough to let them win. It would say, here, we're going to give you ATACMS, but you can only use them within Ukrainian territory or right on the border. It was not, the aid was given, but it was not enough for the Ukraine to win. If President Putin believes that the U.S. is going to abandon Ukraine, the way President Biden abandoned Afghanistan, the way President Obama abandoned Iraq, then he will fight on no matter what. There's no way he makes a deal. How does he make a deal? If he believes that Ukraine will continue to fight if he understands that Ukraine will continue to get support from the U.S. and from Europe, if he understands what Vice President Vance said the other day to the Wall Street Journal, which is we have tools, we have sanctions, we have military tools, we're going to put pressure on Putin to get hopefully a cessation of hostilities, a ceasefire at the very least. What happens during a ceasefire? Well, Putin will try to rebuild, try to build back better. But so can Zelensky at that point, and that would be important as well. But anyhow, I'll let you go on. A lot to work
No,
on.
right.
I appreciate your insight, Cliff. Very interesting, and we'll be revisiting this. So, Cliff May, thank you.
Thank you.